Welcome to the Football Garbage Time NFL podcast. My name is Hakun Wong, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Football Garbage Time. And with me is the godfather of Football Garbage Time. It's Scott King. Hey, Scott, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Playoff football's in full swing, college and pro.
I know. This week. I know. You just can't get enough action now. We got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We're going to be having our plates full after dinner. For sure. And of course, I'll say this, though. You know, I know you're disappointed about the CFP. I was disappointed about the CFP before that. You got a prediction for the CFP for us? I mean, we no longer, neither of us have a dog in the fight anymore. With Ohio State going out and Notre Dame didn't even making the cut. So who do you think is going to be the CFP winner this year?
I think it's Indiana. I'm as a Big Ten fan, it's easy for me to just dismiss them. And last year, they kind of struggled in the big games, but I mean, they look good in the Big Ten championship. I picked them to lose again. I mean, there was no way I saw what happened to them in Alabama. So I'm gonna stick to Indiana. There's some noise around Cignetti in the NFL now. All of a sudden, we'll see. But I'll give them credit. I mean, they're a complete team. Well, I'm sure we'll be breaking down Mendoza here in a couple months, but
for sure, man, he has made such a name for himself in the last year. I mean, he really was decent, but then in Indiana, he has just been a superlative all the way through. Unbelievable year for Indiana. I agree with you. I think Indiana has all the momentum, and they just destroyed Alabama. I mean, it was just a complete and utter undressing, and I won't even say like maybe Alabama shouldn't have been there. But anyway, that being said, I do think that it'd be interesting on the other side who comes out of that, because Miami and Ole Miss are two teams that are, I didn't expect both of them to be there in the semifinals. I just didn't expect it to happen. I thoroughly thought that Georgia would make it there. I clearly thought that Ohio State would be there. So that is a big shocker to me. But actually, as of now, I believe that means 7 of 8 bye week teams have been knocked out in the first game. Is
That's
that
right? That's absolutely right. Yeah, wow. The only winner was Indiana.
Wow.
And there's definitely they've got to change something, because their last year was a little bit different because they had the automatic buys for teams that didn't need to have a bye. But this year it was definitely. There's something broken in there. But the good news is we're going to have a new champ, right? I mean, Miami, of that group, Miami's was 02, 01, is the last championship, I think, out of that group.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So it's good for the sport to get somebody other. I mean, I'd love to see Ohio State, but it's not Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, like.
We don't want to see them.
If it's Ole Miss, Indiana, I'll be happy either way.
It's a game that's worth kind of rooting for. I mean, and I'm kind of hoping for an Ole Miss at Indiana. I mean, I'm not that I'm bitter against Miami or anything like that, but maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get going, because we're going to talk today about some Black Monday firings, because obviously the end of the regular season came by and we had a lot of people go off into the yonder, and we have those wild card games, which we're going to talk about. So let's get rolling. All right, let's talk about those Black Monday firings first, because 5 of them came up, and they weren't immediate. They all kind of came out throughout the Monday. One came out on the Tuesday, so that's even more surprising. But those 5 were Pete Carroll of the Raiders, Jonathan Gannon of the Cardinals, Kevin Stefanski of the Browns, Raheem Morris of the Falcons, and John Harbaugh of the Ravens. So I'm going to kick it over to you first here, Scott, and ask you, of those coach firings, do any of them surprise you, and why?
Yeah, I think, living in Atlanta, there's been a lot of heat on Raheem Morris for a long time, and the season's been really bad. So that one, we've seen here locally coming for a while. The easy one to pick off is Harbaugh, but there was a little bit of noise around it. I think they kind of struggled this year. There was injuries. Obviously, Lamar was injured, and I think this is a franchise and a fan base, honestly, who I think has been spoiled with success, and now they think, oh, we'll just go out and get a new coach and everything will be better. And it's like, okay, well, I got news for you. coaches are hard to come by. Ask a Lions fan or a Bears fan how hard it is to get a good coach.
Yeah.
And so I think I saw tonight, like Harbaugh's agent said that he got 7 phone calls within 30 minutes of the announcement or something crazy. And I'll give credit to my son who's called this out. His first comment 2 weeks ago, when there was noise about Harbaugh, he said they're going to fire Raheem Morris, and I'd love to have him in Atlanta. So Atlanta's gotten rid of their GM and their head coach. So
Right.
I think Harbaugh's the surprise, but I'll go out on a limb and call for Harbaugh to land in Atlanta with a pretty solid roster. This is not a bad football team. They need a few things, a few pieces. So my surprise is Harbaugh, but I'll call his landing spot Atlanta down the street from me, and hopefully I get to go see him next year.
Yeah, I am as surprised as you are. Harbaugh went 193 and 124, including the postseason for the Baltimore Ravens, and he led the 2012 Ravens to a Super Bowl title and reached the AFC Championship game on 3 other occasions. This season is only the 6th time that Baltimore missed the postseason under Harbaugh. And that's the same number of times that the Ravens have won the AFC North under Harbaugh. So, he has given them a lot of success, just only the one Super Bowl. And of course, recently the track record hasn't been good. But that being said, keep in mind, Lamar Jackson did have some injuries throughout the year. They had a lot of injuries on defense throughout the year. I mean, there was just a lot of issues there with the personnel. That's not something I necessarily put on the coach. And frankly, they would be in the playoffs had Tyler Loop not gone wide right on that,
Right.
44. And hey, listen, being a Bears fan, I know what it's like to lose on a field goal at the end that you think you should have made, right? I mean, that 2018, we had a double doink. This was a
Doinks.
0 doink. It was just wide right. But it's painful, right? It's really, really painful. And I felt bad for Tyler Loop. I felt good for Chris Boswell, who was sweating it out on the sidelines after missing the extra point. You could see in his eyes that he was completely deflated once they made it into field goal range. And Tyler Loop missing at that point is just, he owned up to it. He said he mishit it, and that was it, and it happens. But that's not on Harbaugh, I feel like that's not on Harbaugh. So I am very surprised. I think he will land somewhere very, very quickly. The Atlanta Falcons, very interesting landing points for him. I think that he could do a lot of good there. The guy that obviously Harbaugh is the one that's most notable in terms of firings that we didn't expect, but Kevin Stefanski is another one. I mean, I understand why he was fired, but from 2020 to 2023, Kevin Stefanski actually led the Browns to 2 playoff appearances and had the highest winning percentage, which is 55.2% for the team over a 4-year stretch since 1986 to 89. And he has been struggling over the last 2 seasons. I mean, combined record of 8-26. But I don't know if you remember this. He was actually voted Coach of the Year twice. I mean, so this is not, and he did that, going to the playoffs with 2 different quarterbacks. He went with Baker Mayfield, and then he went again with Deshaun Watson / Joe Flacco. So, this is not a guy who is terrible. And the Browns kind of shot themselves in the foot at the beginning of the season by drafting both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders and being saddled by, as we were talking about pre-show, Deshaun Watson and his ridiculous contract. I mean, they really put themselves in the bad place. But look at Myles Garrett. I mean, what he did on defense this year. If they had a semi-competent offense from the beginning, they could have been a much more successful team. I don't really put that on Stefanski. I don't think he made the call to draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and then go get Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round or whatever it was. I mean, that was mind-boggling. But at the same time, I don't think that was his call. And so,
That's right.
Hey, it is what it is. But I think that is the other one that's a little more surprising. Pete Carroll was a mistake from day one. I don't think anyone expected him to be successful there. That was out and out disaster,
Yeah, it's crazy. And I just remembered something. The quarterback situation in Cleveland is so crazy. I had forgotten that Joe Flacco started the season for the Browns, and then they traded him in division to the Bengals.
Yes.
Like they started the season with they had 6 quarterbacks. Didn't they have Pickett?
Yeah, and they traded Pickett away. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, the amount of, I don't know what was going on there, but that was like
That's
a
so
whole lot of
crazy.
craziness. But anyway, so that being said, I don't blame Kevin Stefanski for that. He's already gotten a bunch of coach calls already. I mean, he's interviewing for Tennessee and a bunch of other positions. He will land somewhere, as will John Harbaugh. All right, let's go ahead and turn to the next topic here, and that is the wild card games, because we got some exciting wild card matchups coming up here, right down to the very final game of the week 18. Did we actually have to wait until we found out all the matchups on the AFC and NFC side, and pretty exciting matchups all together. So we're going to walk through each of these, and we're going to tell you which player we are watching who we think will be instrumental in the outcome of the game, and then we'll give you our winner against the spread, with and without the spread, and the over-under. So, Scott, let's start with the Rams and the Panthers. So this one, shocking to me, as the Panthers back their way into the playoffs because of the fact that they got beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But unfortunately for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Atlanta Falcons end up beating the New Orleans Saints, but just barely, really, but at the end of the day. So, well, there you are. Panthers with a losing record in the wild card game. We've seen this before of other teams. The Seahawks were actually successful with a losing record one year as a wild card team, but Rams looking pretty good. Devontae Adams on his way back. Right now, the spread is the Rams by 10.5. Woo! And that is at Charlotte. So on the road by 10.5, and the over-under is at 46.5. Who are you watching in this game who you think will be instrumental in what happens?
Yeah, I think it's Bryce Young. I mean, that's an obvious pick, but the Panthers early on in the season, they were on a bit of a run. I forget where they ended. They had a losing streak there, but I remember a time when the Panthers were looking pretty strong and were really moving the ball, and they were able to run it really well and set up some play action. So I think Bryce Young's going to be the key there. I know like you mentioned, Seattle won. They were 7-9 back when it was 16 games and they won. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the Panthers for sure cover this one. Playoff games are usually pretty tight unless it gets ugly. But I do think it's going to go under. And I saw the Rams get beat in person in Atlanta on Monday night. Atlanta was up in Stafford's face. He couldn't move the ball well, and Bijan ran all over them. So Panthers can run the ball. If they use their sort of in-division blueprint from the Falcons, I think they can keep it close. So I have this as an under 46 game, and the Panthers for sure to cover.
What's interesting is that the Panthers actually did beat the Rams earlier in the regular season. I think people might have forgotten it because it was so long ago. So this is one of those things where they could do it again, and they're playing at home. So, but I'm not as bold as you are. I don't know if I'm going to pick them to win or cover, actually, at this point. I'm going to take the Rams to cover the 10.5. And I think that with Devontae Adams coming back healthy, and I think that, with some offensive line help, this is actually going to be the Rams coming out party for the playoffs. They've looked really good. Matt Stafford has looked good. I think most of the season, he's definitely looked good when he has both his A1 and A2 receivers out there. The Panthers, though, can win this game, and the path is exactly what you say, Scott. I am looking at Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. If they can get those two guys going, 1-2 punch, keep going, keep wearing them down, keep the Rams offense on the sidelines, the Panthers can control this game and win this game at home. It'd be surprising, but not that surprising. But I am betting on the Rams getting off to a hot start and the Panthers having to keep up, and I don't think they can keep up. So I'm taking the Rams to cover the 10.5. I'm going under 46.5, mostly because I don't think the Panthers are going to score that much, but we'll see. I would love to see this. Don't get me wrong. If there's any team a Bears fan likes outside of the Bears, it's the Panthers, right? They're the reason why we have our entire squad. They're like literally half our offense and all our Pro Bowlers are because of that Panthers deal 3 years ago. So I obviously love the Panthers. I want them to do well. I want Bryce Young to get them somewhere. I have nothing against Bryce Young. I do think Matt Stafford and the Rams with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams back will be tough to get around. All right, let's talk about the Packers at Bears. Obviously, I'm super biased here. because I'm a Bears fan, as you can tell from the shirt I'm wearing. But I'm going to try to put my neutral hat on and talk about this game. 8 p.m. on Saturday. Packers at Bears. Right now, the spread is the Packers by 1.5. Interesting fact, by the way. They ran the numbers, and regardless of who the Bears played in the first round, this is before Week 18 was done, before Week 17 was done, they said no matter who the Bears play at any part of the playoffs, wild card, any step, they will always be the underdog. They will not actually be. They did not have them rated higher. Now, I don't think they matched them up against the Panthers at any point in time. But out of any team that would have made the playoffs, that they would have reasonably faced at any level of the playoffs in the postseason this year, they would be underdogs. So, not surprising to me to see this, and I know why. I definitely know why. But what are you looking at? Packers at Bears.
Yeah, I think this is the good one. It's the third time they're going to play each other in division. I think the loss of Micah Parsons can't, go without saying that that's going to be a huge impact.
Absolutely.
I think the person to watch is Ben Johnson, not the player, the person, because
Very interesting.
in the Lions Bears game, you saw both Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson try to outsmart themselves. I think the Lions were 3rd and 1 on the 50 and tried this quarterback backwards pass nonsense.
Yeah.
There was another play, I forget what it was, but I sent you a tweet when it happened. It was like the Bears were back on their own 10 and Ben Johnson tried some like double reverse pass or something, and he does that. I saw it in Detroit. He's done it in Chicago. He's gonna outsmart himself at some point, and I hope it doesn't cost him the game. But he's gonna have a 3rd and 2 or a 4th and 3, and he's gonna, instead of just running the ball, he's gonna do something crazy. So I think it's Ben Johnson, but I do think the Bears win this one. I think they have a pretty dynamic offense. I've got it over 45.5, and I've got the Bears winning straight up. I think it's gonna be a good game.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I sure hope you're right. I sure hope you're right. I'm banking on it. And this is an interesting game. And again, it's hard for me to think about this without having any bias. But I know for a fact that the Bears defense has had issues. They are very opportunistic, the most takeaways of any team in the NFL. And of course, our offense doesn't make a lot of mistakes, the least giveaways of any teams in the NFL. But that being said, with regard to yards allowed, it's atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. And we have problems all around. It doesn't matter if they're passing the ball or they're running the ball. So the only way I see us winning this game is by controlling the trenches, but on the offensive side of the ball with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. I think we have to run the ball enough times to maintain a possession advantage in terms of time. I don't think Jordan Love is amazing, but I do think he's good enough to be a quick strike type of quarterback who can do well against the Bears. Strangely enough, I actually think that Malik Willis might actually be the better quarterback in that system.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, that's just me. I actually saw a meme today that says, news alert, Malik Willis, the starter, will be out. Therefore, they have to play their backup, Jordan Love. I'm not going to go that far. That far. But I will say that I have all the respect in the world in Jordan Love being able to operate under pressure, being able to complete those long passes. He has a plethora of targets out there. Believe Christian Watson out for the year, so that won't be an issue. But that being said, there's enough danger there. And, of course, Aaron Jones, great catching the pass as well. So there's a lot of danger there that I think that the advantage has to be kept on possession time, and we have to keep the ball on the ground as much as possible. I love Caleb. Obviously, I'm super biased. He makes a lot of mistakes, and his completion percentage is pretty low. That's a problem. Now, he makes mistakes, not bad ones where he's turning the ball over, but bad ones like missing open targets, not seeing open targets. That will come with time, I hope. But with a low completion percentage, I don't want to be in a situation where we have to pass to win the game. I think we have to maintain a little bit of an edge on the ground. So Kyle Monangai, DeAndre Swift are the people I'm looking at in that game. And, I'm going to pick the Bears to win this, but I'm not feeling ultra confident. And I've looked at what all the expert pundits have said. And as you pointed out, Scott, we are by far better than those pundits most of the time over the last 12 years or so that we've been picking. So like, listen, we trust our instincts, but it is basically a 50-50 split. It's basically a 50-50 split. I think there's all across. Anybody can see any outcome here. So this is going to be one of those that I think will be very, very hard to pick. And I love the idea of keeping your eye on Ben Johnson. If he doesn't do something crazy, and just keeps his foot on the pedal the way he normally does, because he can be a great coach. He obviously is a great coach. He's made us relevant from irrelevant for many years. So I love that, and I can't wait to see it happen. I'm going to take the under on this one. I think that this will be, if the Bears win and cover as I'm predicting, it will be under, because we're all going to have to ball control throughout that entire game. All right, let's get to the next game and that's on the Sunday, 1 p.m. A very surprising matchup to me, one I did not expect to see. Bills at Jaguars, 1 p.m. on Sunday. Right now, the Bills are favored by 1.5. The total over-under, a hefty 52.5. They are expecting a shootout there in Jacksonville. What do you think? Who are you looking at in Bills at Jaguars?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. This is Trevor Lawrence, who had a lot of hype coming out of college, obviously out of Clemson, and they just really haven't performed. This is the first year they've kind of put things together. So I think there's a lot of pressure. You're not dealing with weather unless it's supposed to rain in Jacksonville in a playoff game in January. So you've got that going for you. But I think we'll see how Trevor Lawrence, behaves in this pressure situation. I am totally shocked. I was not a believer in their coach when he had his opening press conference. I was like, oh man, this is going to be ugly. But hey, they've pulled it together. They've been playing well. I think the Bills have, at what point are we going to look back and be like, man, they never really maximized Josh Allen's peak, right? Like, I don't think he's done or anything like that, but this to me is like, well, Josh Allen's is going to be in the Super Bowl every couple years, and like Joe Burrow, right? He went
right
second, third year, and it's like, oh man, we're going to see these guys every year, and then they're never back, and it just feels like, we're getting to that point now. Allen's, starting to turn the corner on his career, and it's like, oh, well, now here's more injuries, or they lost this, or they don't have that, or they don't have this. And, there's no Mahomes in the way this year. But honestly, I've got the Jags at home. I think it is going to be a shootout. I think the weather is going to be good. This is a forward look on DFS. This is going to be a DFS heavy game. But yeah, I think the Jags, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I don't know. I think we're going to look back and be like, man, I can't believe Josh Allen never made it to a Super Bowl.
Man, that is going to be rough. It's interesting side note. Since 2017, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, at least one of them has been in the playoffs. This is the first time since 2017 that none of them are in the playoffs. That very shocking. Now, of course, Patrick Mahomes was there basically every single year. So, but that being said, it does say something that the Ravens, which were the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, aren't in the playoffs, and the Bills, who everyone had pegged as maybe number 2 or 3, is just kind of squeaking in there at the end of the wild card playoffs. Right. I mean, that's really shocking to me. And Trevor Lawrence, who I never had a lot of confidence in as an NFL quarterback. I always thought, he could be a good game manager, maybe an Alex Smith type. But I didn't expect him to be like this year. This year, he has been exceptional. I mean, he's not only exceeded 4,000 passing yards, but the major difference is he's scored with his legs more than double the times he did last year, the year before. In fact, if you add up all the rushing touchdowns he had in the last 2 years, he's had more this year. He had 9 rushing touchdowns this year. Last year, 3. The year before that, 4. A year before that, 5. The year before that, 2. So he's absolutely stepped it up on the ground. 359 rushing yards, his most rushing yards he's had in a season with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's been all the difference, because I was trying to figure out what the difference in Trevor Lawrence is. He's actually, as far as his passing is concerned, he's actually threw more interceptions this year than he did last year. He did throw more touchdowns as well, but that didn't change a whole lot. And his percentage completion rate is still about 60%, which is not bad, but it hasn't changed at all. It's definitely his legs. He's using his legs more effectively. He's using it down the goal line effectively. And Trevor Etienne is actually becoming an actual player that we have to watch. I mean, he was kind of like, oh, okay, it's just a guy that came from Clemson, and that's cool. They're on the same team. It never kind of lived up to his expectations. But this year, he's been quite a threat. So who are you watching here other than, so obviously we're all looking at Josh Allen because I feel like we say this every year. If not now, when? Like, I feel like we say it every single year that the Bills are in, and every single year they look like they're poised to get there and they blow it. But you're right. They can't blow it against the Chiefs this year. So where is it going to happen? I mean, so obviously we're all watching Josh Allen. Everything turns on him. But if it's not Josh Allen, who else are you looking at?
Yeah, it's James Cook, right? I mean, he has been a fantasy monster. I think I had him in one league. He's been one, you kind of draft him mid-round. He never really had a pop, and I don't have his numbers in front of me. I'm sure you do, but he that offense runs through him. He's run the ball well. I think he's had a few games where he's caught the ball, and so he's again, DFS kind of flash forward. He's going to be a key piece of this offense, and we'll see what they can do. I think you're going to have a game where both quarterbacks are going to run the ball to make first downs. So both defenses are going to have to respect it. But James Cook, I give it. He has really had a strong year this year, and anybody who had him in fantasy, I know, was happy. Like you went on mute. Oh, we lost your.
Thanks for letting me know that I was talking to myself the entire time, Scott. I was like going through these amazing stats, and everyone heard was like silence, and you were like, "We can't hear you, buddy." All right,
lip reading.
Yes, if you guys can lip read, you know exactly what I said. For those of you who can't lip read, I was saying he had 1,621 rush yards this year, 5.2 yards per carry, 12 rushing touchdowns, and on top of that, 291 receiving yards on 8.8 yards per reception. Wow. And 2 touchdowns receiving as well. Cherry on top. He had a absolute monster season, and I absolutely believe that they need to get James Cook going in order to get this red-hot Jaguars team off the field. That being said, I'm actually going to put my money on the Bills actually carrying through here. I think the Bills will get through this. They will cover. I think this is going to be one of those over games, though. I know 52.5 is really high, but I just see some mass scoring here. I see a lot of back and forth. I see a massive shootout. What was it? Was that game? Was it Chiefs and Bills where they had like three touchdowns in the fourth quarter each or something? I can't remember which one it was. Was it Gabe Davis's like the best game ever? So I kind of feel like that's what we're going to see here with the Bills and Jaguars. I see a highly entertaining game and the Bills kind of coming out on top. All right, let's get to the next one. Let's talk about the 49ers at the Eagles, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. This is an interesting one too to me with the Eagles. And I'm going to say this right now, surprisingly favored by 4.5. I'm very surprised by that line. That's a very big line. And the total over under 44.5. Who are you watching at 49ers at the Eagles?
Yeah, the Eagles are an interesting team when I was looking at these games and I saw that the line in that matchup and I was like, wow, when was the last time we talked about the Eagles? Right? Like they sort of, they came on Devontae Smith is having, an amazing season. People forget he won the Heisman. And he, AJ Brown disappeared and disgruntled and posting stuff and no catches, no targets, no whatever. And here we are with the Eagles again. This kind of, when you look at new teams and we talk about the Bears and the Packers and the Jaguars, I don't know. This game to me just seemed like, it's the Niners and the Eagles. Neither one's really impressing me right now. I mean, the Niners didn't look great. They got beat up pretty bad at home. They've been beat up throughout the season. I do think the Eagles win this one, and I've
Ooh.
also learned over the years when you see a weird line, it's because somebody knows something, out in Vegas.
Right.
So I am going to take that 4.5. Something's weird there. I am going to go under. I think, I don't know. I just don't see either one of these teams going anywhere. I think there's some way more talented teams in the conference, and so Eagles probably pull it out, but this isn't a year where we're going to see them win it again for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because the Eagles have been so underwhelming this year. I mean, it's not that they've done fine, right? But they've been
Right.
so underwhelming, losing like random games to the Giants and just not looking good. I mean, they just don't look good. They don't look in sync. And you're right. Devontae Smith is having a good year. They let him get his 1,000 yards in the last game as they sat all their starters. Saquon Barkley is not Saquon Barkley, listen,
No.
maybe it's the Madden curse. I don't know, but he's just not that threatening anymore. And Jalen Hurts is just prone to error. I mean, he has thrown
Right.
he has been an absolute out and out. I don't want to say this, it was a disaster in a vacuum, but compared to Jalen Hurts of the past, he has been a disaster. I just don't see him being, he just hasn't been that good. And if you compare both the 49ers and the Eagles, the 49ers offense blows them away on a per game basis, even with the fact that Brock Purdy was out for half a season. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what to think about this entire matchup. I just feel like the 49ers were on an upswing as they faced off against the Bears with that 45-38 win, but then managed to completely stink it up in what I thought was going to be supposed to be a good game against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks defense a lot better, definitely better than the Eagles defense, but I don't know what to expect there. But the Eagles are just so underwhelming. I just can't see them pulling this out even at home. So I am actually going to go the other way on this. I'm going to take the 49ers here, and I will take those points. I don't know if they will cover. I think this will be a close game, but I'll take the 4.5 and the 49ers there. I just feel like I feel like it's a good value for the 49ers.
Sure. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. But I'll go under on the 44.5. I think that
Yeah.
defenses will step up here, and we'll see how that goes. All right, let's go to the next game, and that's Chargers at Patriots, 8 p.m. on Sunday. This is another interesting matchup to me. Chargers will hopefully be at full strength. They sat a bunch of their starters, including Justin Herbert and then Marion Hampton, on their Week 18 game. Patriots went full speed ahead because they wanted to ensure they could get the best possible seeding. They didn't matter because the Broncos also won. But the New England Patriots are back, and they are favored by 3.5 in Foxborough of an over-under of 46.5. How do you feel about this Chargers at Patriots?
Yeah, I think, the Patriots, this is an example of coaching does matter, right? Like it's generally the same roster Vrabel took over, and it's a completely different team
Right.
than we've seen the last few years. And Drake May has his confidence. This is a young quarterback matchup, Herbert and May. I think Herbert's another one of these quarterbacks when, at what point he's got a few years, I think, till he catches. I think Allen's got a couple of years on him, but when are we going to look back and say, what did Herbert accomplish in his career, right? Like we
Right.
keep saying, oh, these guys are great. They're coming on. They're coming on. They're coming on. When? And so now they're going to go to New England. I haven't looked at the weather situation. Vrabel's going to absolutely have them ready. Harbaugh will have his guys ready too. But I've been impressed with the Patriots. I've been watching Trevion Henderson on the run. He's done really well. The Chargers have had a lot of weird injuries. Herbert had the broken offhand for a while. O'Marion Hampton's been out. Then their backup Vidal, I think, was out for a while. So they've just been beat up, and they're just obviously rested guys so they could get there. But I think the Patriots are for real. I think they're in a good place. I think Drake May's probably the MVP, which is a good thing. I think they win the game 3.5. I mean, 3.5 is where I saw it, which is it's always hard to give up that half. Probably the Chargers cover. Just to your point, you don't want to give away that half point. But I do think it's over, probably 27-24. So it sneaks over. And yeah, I think it's going to come down to the Patriots running game. Henderson can break 80 yards at any point. I mean, he's not as dynamic as like Bijan or Gibbs or anybody like that, but he definitely found his way as a rookie after I traded him. Or actually, I cut him like week 10. I held on to the guy for like 10 weeks. And I think the week I cut him, he had like 65 points or something. So, which is how my season, I cut everyone and picked them up at the exact wrong time all season. So we'll
One of
have
those years,
another.
man. One of
Oh my
those years.
gosh, I couldn't do anything right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good game, but I think it's Drake May's MVP. I think the Patriots win 27-24 over cover for the Chargers.
Yeah. See, I don't disagree 100%, but I do have a little bit of concern here because both the Patriots and the Chargers have relatively good defenses. Chargers actually have an exceptional defense. But where they differ significantly is on pass pressure. The Chargers are exceptional on pass pressure. The New England Patriots are actually bottom 5 in pass pressure. They actually have the seventh least sacks in the NFL. I do think that they're going to give Justin Herbert enough time to get the ball out to his receivers. Now, assuming there isn't something weird happening here, I see that as being a problem for the Patriots secondary. So I'm not saying that the Chargers will be able to get up enough to beat the Patriots at home in Foxborough, having a championship, Pro Bowl MVP season. But I do think that there is a possibility that this will stay close and that the Chargers somehow manage to pull it out at the very end. And that could happen. Now, if the Patriots get off to a hot start, that will be a non-factor. But because of that, I hate picking a winner. I do. If I had to pick a winner, put a gun to my head, I pick the Patriots. But with the points, I'm going to take the Chargers and take the 3.5. I do think this will be a close game. I think the Chargers will find a way to keep it close. I do think that they will take advantage of the fact that the Patriots cannot pressure Justin Herbert and that he will have an opportunity to find his receivers and they will be able to create. I mean, we have not seen very much of Lad McConkey this year. In fact, I've been calling him Bad McDonkey most of the year because he has just been flat out not good for fantasy. But the fact of the matter is that he looks pretty good. There's Quentin Johnson there. There's Keenan Allen there. Amarian Gadsden is there. Omarion Hampton is now healthy. There's a lot of weapons there that I think are going to help them become successful. And if you give Justin Herbert time, he can do damage. So I do think this will be a close game. I will take the under on this one, though. So under 46.5, I will take the Chargers with the points, and then we'll see where it goes from there. All right, last game of Wild Card Weekend. We got the Texans at the Steelers, Monday Night Football, 8:15 p.m. This is last second matchup because, of course, I thought it was going to be the Ravens, and here we are going to Pittsburgh to play this game. Houston favored by 3, over under a measly 39.5. What do you think here? Who are you watching? What do you think?
Yeah, so I've watched quite a bit of the Texans this year, mainly because I've been picking them in a lot of my underdog plays. I had the game where they were down big. I picked their live line like 4 different times. I played that line, and it was a huge cash out for me. So I've been keeping an eye on them. Their defense, I mean, is outstanding. That's the unit to look at. I think they're going to beat the crap out of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I actually think I think I saw them maybe plus 500, plus 550 to win the Super Bowl. I absolutely think that's the right play. I think they're probably coming out of the AFC. I think they've put it together at the right time, and I really like where they're heading. And they've got a backup quarterback who can play if needed, as we've seen multiple times. So I think the Texans defense is going to overwhelm the Steelers. I think this is an under game for sure. It might be 21-3 or something like that, and I think the Texans cover, and you're going to see Rodgers just get pummeled. Is my expectation.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think that, I mean, the Houston Texans defense is just so dominant. I mean, they're just so dominant.
Crazy.
And when CJ Stroud is synced, is locked in, you don't even need Nico Collins. That's the crazy part about it. Jaden Higgins can step up. It's just he has a plethora of potential there. Woody Marks can step up, catching the ball out of the backfield as well. Nick Chubb, when healthy, will be good through the tackles. You don't even need to have a great offense. You just have to have an okay offense.
Yep.
With that defense out there, I mean, it's really, really hard to say that a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers will be able to beat them, because the Ravens, as much as I think the Ravens are a good team, their defense has been horrible this year. I mean, absolutely a sieve. And the fact that they were able to do what they did in the fourth quarter there, that's because the Ravens could not cover. Just absolutely flat out could not cover. Plus, they put very, very little pressure on a quarterback who is very, very immobile. So, like, at the end of the day, you got all those pass rushers up there. You got the defense. You got the secondary. This is a defense in Houston that we have not seen in a long time, and I just do not see a way for Aaron Rodgers to get past them. So I am 100% with you there. My eyes are actually going to be on what happens between the tackles, because the one way the Steelers can keep it in if they get Jaylen Warren hot and they start running the ball. Houston doesn't allow a lot of yards on the ground, but they can be vulnerable at times. And if they can continue to do that, keep it close, then maybe, because Chris Boswell doesn't miss often. And it would be a really boring game, but you can win a game on field goals. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking at. But I do think that it'd be really hard pressed to pick anything but the Texans with the spread at 3. And I'm going to take the under on this. I just don't see how they exceed 39.5, even though it's just so little in terms of points. It's just not two big scoring teams there.
For sure.
All right. One last question for you, Scott. If you're going to play fantasy football, DFS, put together a squad for the weekend, what players are you looking at?
So there's 2 games that I'm looking at. One I hit on a little bit earlier, which is the 52.5 over Jags Bills 1-point game. Absolutely. Good weather, most likely high scoring game. So you've got to look at the Trevor Lawrence's, James Cook, Josh Allen's. But the other game that is against, I hate taking unders on plays, but that Steelers team offensively, especially the wide receivers, I'm looking at all their unders. Like, I might play all of their unders because I don't know that they get too much going on. So I like the Jags Bills game for all of the points that are coming and the yards and the good weather. I mean, if we get some rain in Pittsburgh for this game this weekend, I think it's going to be 5-0 Texans and nobody scores any points. So those are the 2 games I'm looking for, and just grab what you can as far as like overs and unders.
Yeah, and listen, I will say this: 61 degrees and sunny for that game in Jacksonville this weekend. I mean, you're not going to beat that for very, very comfortable weather. Basically, no breeze. Load up, man. Yeah, I mean, both defenses are vulnerable. Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence should have a field day. I love me some Parker Washington. I mean, he has really come on at the end of the season. So far at 847 receiving yards, but all that basically in the last half of the season. Brian Thomas Jr. is a non-factor. He's absolutely dropping off the radar. Yeah. Parker Washington is the new guy out there. So, and the aforementioned James Cook. I mean, oh my goodness, I can see a big day for all those guys. So if you're playing DFS, if you're going to take some prop bets, I'm going to take some overs. That is the game to keep an eye on. The other one that I would think about a little bit is Rams Panthers. I do think the Panthers defense is a little bit vulnerable, and I do think that Puka Nacua is going to show out in that game. I think Matt Stafford's going to show out as well. So I do believe that on the offense, that offensive side for the Rams, we can get a little bit of action going on there. All right, that takes us to the end of the show. Let me hit the air horn on the show. Hey, Scott, give us your social media so people can follow you.
Yeah, check me out, NFL Fantasy _more on X, and I've got weekly plays on Underdog, my partner, and NFL playoffs are kicking off, NBA's in full swing. So yeah, check me out.
Yeah, absolutely. Check them out. Those Underdog plays are awesome, by the way, Scott. So if everybody wants to win some cash, follow Scott, get his code. You got a code still, right, Scott, that people can use?
Yeah, that's right. Fantasy Expert, I think it's pinned to my page.
All right, well, go check that out. Go sign up. Go win some cash along with Scott. You won't regret it. As usual, thank you for coming out and wasting time with us. My name is Hakun Wong. You can find me at FB Garbage Time on Twitter/X, on Blue Sky, pretty much anywhere. You can find me also on Instagram and on the Facebook Football Garbage Time Facebook page. Thank you for listening, wasting time with us. Until next time, enjoy your NFL week and the wild card weekend playoffs. We'll see you next week.